Alright, so we're going to have a real quick talk about the most interesting topic in the world, which is you. Okay, we're going to talk about you, we're going to talk about your career. When was the last time somebody sat down and had a career discussion with you?
High school.
Last week? Last month? Never! Well, we're going to have one right now. That's not like a good way to spend just a few minutes? Okay. So let's start off by having a quick question. How many, during your professional working career, how many jobs are you going to have? And I'm talking about pretty much different employers. So don't go, well, I was on that project, screw that. Different companies you're going to work for. How many? Good guess, too high.
6 to 8.
Too low.
10.
12. So the experts tell us, so you're going to work for 12 different companies. How far along in that are you now? How many different companies have you worked for?
About 6.
6, okay, halfway. Sir?
3.
Okay, you're just starting?
5.
5?
2.
Bob Evans, one of those? Okay, good, excellent. So you got 10 more to go.
6.
Not bad.
5 plus 3 stretches working for myself.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that counts. Okay, sir?
8.
8? Wow, you're actually doing good. Now remember, 12 is an average, right? So you could double that and you'd still be statistically knowledge. You know, I'm a pretty square guy. I really don't move around that much, and I think I'm on 7. So what the hell's going on with that? So here's an interesting question. How many years are you going to work? How long is a career? Math question, math question. Let's play a game. Let's say you started working at 20. Okay, we'll just make math nice and simple, 20. When does that Social Security stuff kick in?
70.
It's not about who knows, right? But let's play a game and say it's going to kick in at 65, okay? So 20 to 65, how many years are we talking?
45 years.
45, that's how long your career is. Okay. Now, if you're going to, hell, high school was 4 years. Didn't that seem like a long time coming back in the day, right? Okay, if you're going to do something for 45 years, it sure seems like you should have a plan for it. Do you have a career plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, okay, thank you. And I buy Powerball tickets too, but that's not really a plan, okay? That's a hope, okay? And it hasn't worked out so far. So the concept is if you're going to do something for that long, it sure seems like you should have some sort of plan in place, right? Okay, so thanks for kicking around. All right, so a lot of us work in the world of IT. Okay, IT, cool profession, woohoo! Why did you get into IT? I saw a movie on war games and it seemed really, I'm sorry, what's that?
I started.
No good at anything else?
No, I just was good at it.
You were good at it,
I started
okay.
designing websites and I started.
You said this is what I want to do, right? This seems pretty cool. What's your excuse?
Mine.
Yes. Beautician school is full up. And so I said, well, I'll go to, no, I don't know.
Beautician school.
It's where I was, but whatever. It's just me.
My parents are programmers, and I've been around programming in computers my entire life.
That's amazing. That's actually really quite impressive that your parents were, because they had to be growing up in like the 50s, 60s sometime to be both of them? Both of them?
They were.
Geeky parents. Wow.
I did.
And it's really bad when your parents were reviewing your code, and they're like, no, that's not. But well, cool
There
stuff.
wasn't a lot of code back then, but.
Yeah, it was paper tape, yes?
I'm creative. I'm the bane of your existence.
Which is good, because it all has to come from someplace, right? And yourself, sir?
I don't know, it just came easy.
Gotcha. It's what they taught in prison, and you said, well, what the heck? No. Okay,
She's
well, let's
the
go.
one who learned in prison.
So what?
He went to beautician school.
That's what it is. Damn it, I was about it. So here's an interesting thing. So the world of IT is actually a great profession. If you've chosen, if you decide to get into it, or if you're working around the edges of it, it's really cool. Now, one of the reasons that it attracts people is because it's constantly changing. Okay, what it was yesterday is not what it is today. What it will be tomorrow is not what it is today. Fantastic, wonderful. You know, if you really didn't like that, there's a wonderful profession called accounting. Accounting hasn't changed in 2,000 years. You get it down pretty much, tomorrow it's going to be the same as it is today. Great profession, but if you go to IT, you're pretty much not cut out to be an accountant. IT is great, but it changes. And because it changes so much, it means what you know today will not last. Quick question, go to college, get a degree, come out. How good is that IT degree good for? How many years?
It's obsolete as soon as you get it.
No, good news, not like that. Back in the 60s, it was good for about 15 years. About 15 years, when you're around 60. 3 years.
2 years.
It's good for 3 years. Now remember, the core principles never change, right? But all the fancy stuff, let's say JavaScript, let's say PHP, let's say HTML, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. Yeah, got news for you. 3 years from now, that's on the back burner right there. So, cool profession, yay. Lots of change, which means there's a lot of change going on in your career. All right, secret number 1 for you being successful. Now, you probably have already gone to school, but you might be thinking about going back to school, right? We always think, I should go get an MBA or something like that. Quick question. Why did you go to college, if you went to college?
Because everyone said you need to go.
Everyone said you need, Mom and Dad said you needed to go. All my friends were going, right? Those are all pretty much the standard reasons why we go to school,
Most
right?
places won't hire you if you want to.
Most places won't hire you, they gotta go. So,
Dead end.
Want a good job.
what were you supposed to get out of that college education?
A piece of paper so I can get a job.
There you go, right? If that's a pretty damn expensive piece of paper, isn't it? And both in time, energy, and sheer dollars. So, it turns out that the reason that you went to college was actually to learn for 2 reasons. And I went to college for 15 years, okay? So it took me a hell of a lot longer to figure this out, but I'm going to share it with you now. And so it'll be like, oh, that's why I went. That'll be good, okay? But also if you decide to go back to school at some point in time, you'll know why you go to school going forward. That sound like a good deal? And if you're in school, you got a little time to get your act together, but not a lot, right? Okay. So you go to school for 2 reasons. First reason is to learn how to solve problems. Okay? Remember when you came out of high school and you thought you were the smartest person in the world? Okay? You weren't, oops, but you thought you were. In college, what they teach you is how to solve complicated problems. Problems that are big and nasty and hairy problems. What they teach you to do is to take them apart. Okay? And then to solve the little pieces and then put it all back together so you've solved the big hairy problem. When you came out of high school, you were not able to solve big, complicated, real-world problems because you just didn't even know where to start. You could solve the problems that you could flip to the back of the book and all the odd answers were there, right? Woo, that was pretty good. Not the big scary ones that we actually encounter in real life. So problem-solving skills are what hopefully you got out of all those college classes. You can't remember the class, you can't remember the professor, you can't remember the homework you had, but there in the back of your brain was, oh, I solved a problem like that once upon a time. Let me see if I can remember how I went about doing it. The second reason you went to college, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in a little Midwestern town. There was like about 1,200 people in my town. What's interesting about those 1,200 people is they all looked like me. They all talked like me. They all thought like me, pretty much. When I went to college, there were a bunch of weird people there, man. They were from countries I'd never heard of. They spoke languages I didn't know anything about, and they ate some really strange food, okay? Basically, your world gets expanded big time. And ultimately, in the world of IT, we work in teams, right? Those people in the teams, are they anything like you? No, they're stupid, they're slow, no, that's not it at all. But it does teach us the world is made up of a bunch of different people that we have to learn to get along with if we want to be successful, right? So ultimately, that's the eye-opening experience. So, those are the 2 things that you're supposed to get out of college. Surprise! That's what it's all about, okay? Now, if you're thinking about going back and getting another degree at some point in time, those will be 2 things that you want to do. If you're getting, here's secret, I'll never tell you this. If you think about going to go and get an MBA, 2 things you get out of an MBA. You'll forget all your courses, right? Because you always forget all your courses. But there's 2 things that you can walk away from an MBA with. Number 1, it's a vocabulary, right? The vocabulary teaches an IT person how to talk to a business person. Top line, bottom line, profit, organizational structure, 400 words of vocabulary. But suddenly you know what they mean and you know how to use them in a sentence. And number two gets very interesting. Guess how much it costs to get an MBA from Harvard University?
$20,000.
Yeah, but it's actually a lot more expensive, right? Because you can't be working while you're doing that. So you have to figure in your paycheck, right? So once upon a time I ran the numbers for me. It came out to be $400,000. Why would anybody pay $400,000 to go to Harvard University for 2 years, assuming that they would let you in?
The connections you make.
Do they have special knowledge? Do they have wonderful teachers that are is it Hogwarts? No, but you actually said it right. It's connections, right? You're paying $400,000 to go to Harvard University because of the other people who are paying $400,000 to go to Harvard University. You want 2 years to rub shoulders with people that will be running companies, leading countries, doing impressive things, being written up in the newspaper, right? So you got 2 years to build one hell of a Rolodex, right? Because you're paying through the eye teeth for that, right? So if you ever decide to go back and get an MBA, the two things that are most important about that are number one, picking up on vocabulary, and number two, meeting everybody in the damn class. Right? 2 years to build your role with that. That's how you know that.
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
I go to a lot of networking events.
Okay, that's what it's all about, right? So just as a little heads up on you. The schools will never tell you that. They'll say we've got good programs, but screw that. They'll forget all that. All right. Okay, secret number 9 to having a successful IT team. Don't be a problem finder, be a problem fixer. Quick question, anybody know software testers? Anybody know software testers? I love software testers. Some of my best friends are software testers. Okay, when things get tight at the company, when it's time to let people go, what's one of the first groups that get hit? Software testers, right? Why? Those people are, first off, they're nice people, and secondly, they're really good, right? Hand them some code, come back in an hour, they found stuff that's broken, right? Why would you let them go first?
They can't
Trying
fix
to
the
problems that
problem.
cost money to fix.
Right. Can they fix the problems?
No.
They can't, right? They're excellent at what they do, which is to find things that is busted. But it's a lot more valuable to hold on to the engineers who wrote the original code, right? Because you could probably teach them to find problems. They probably wouldn't be as good as a software tester, right? Because that's a special skill, right? But they'd be okay, right? And oh, by the way, if they found it, what could they do?
Fix it.
Fix it, right? Now, the other interesting thing on this has another thing. You ever go into a meeting with somebody who goes, oh yeah, that's not going to work? Yeah, we tried that before, not going to happen. Somebody who's just like a complete downer on stuff. Same sort of thing, right? That's somebody who's finding problems with stuff but not coming up with any helpful suggestions, right? Once again, things get tight or something like that, that's the person they're going to let go, right? Because they're not being valuable to the company. What you want to be is a solution finder. You want to be the person that can come to and say, listen, we have this problem. What could we do to solve it? Not have you go, oh, you're screwed. You know, come on, come up with something helpful, something that we can actually do. That make sense?
Kind of goes with that Army saying, if you're not part of the problem, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah, you know, it's a nice saying, we've heard it and stuff like that, but you know, it is really true. And there's different people in different organizations. There's people who are complete down who look at something and see the half empty, right? The negative side of it, which is, and by the way, if that's your personality, you're not going to be able to change it. So be it. Keep your mouth shut. Is probably like the correct answer, right? If you only see things and go, wow, that's not going to work, then keep your mouth shut until you can come up with something that says, hey, here's a different way we can look at that, or here's a different way we could go about doing that. Because people don't want to hear your negativity, right?
Yeah, but sometimes you have to play devil's advocate because people, you know, they'll take anything and go wrong with it and spend millions of dollars.
So get ready to do stupid stuff, right? But here's, and no, he brings up an excellent point. You're exactly correct. Because people do get ready to do stupid stuff, right? When that happens, it's how you come back and tell them. What you have to do is say, hey, here you go, you ready for this? Great idea, okay? I've got a better idea, right? So you don't poo-poo their idea that much, but you say, now, by the way, your idea might not be better, but it's different. If you can get them to talk about your idea, it might expose the problems with theirs, right? And that's all you really want to do there. Just to prevent them from actually doing what they're doing. That's the key thing in that. Now, the small stuff is the secret to what's going on in most careers. So every organization has rules and has things that are going on in it. And a lot of us get sort of big heads, especially when we join an organization. We go, listen, I understand that that's a bunch of rules, but those rules don't necessarily apply to me, right? Good one is badges. Badges. Show your badges all the time. You work in an environment like that, and everyone's like, a lot of times you go, oh, screw that. I don't really need that. That doesn't look like me, and stuff like that. The answer is it does. And the reason that that's important is because there's a group of people in your company whose job it is to enforce those little rules, right? And you have to be an ass for you, and yeah, it's really sort of annoying for you and stuff like that. But in all honesty, that's their job. And when you don't do it or you don't follow along with those rules, you make their life a hassle. Dear God in heaven, you know there's probably a security guard who sits at the front desk of wherever you happen to work. When you come in, he needs to allow you to get access to the building. Piss him off. Then that Saturday when you get called in to work and you come in and you don't have your badge, you know what he's going to do? Go send your ass home. Go get your badge, I'm not letting you in. If you've got a good relationship with him, if you've shown him respect, if you're on good terms with him and stuff like that, you think he'll let you in? Give you a temporary something, whatever, let you go in? Exactly. So I used to think that I was a good multitasker, that I could do multiple things, that I could keep track of all the little things and everything else. There I was going to Southland Veterans. Can you sort of picture this? Going to Southland Veterans. I was going off, I think I had a doctor's appointment, didn't know where to go, so I had like the GPS on, but I was on a conference call, of course. Let's do everything all at one time, okay? On a conference call, but I'm smarter than the average bear, so I had muted the GPS. So they wanted that background, turn left in 500 feet. Didn't want that sort of stuff going on. And it wasn't just a conference call that I was on, but I was actually leading the conference call, which means I was talking, right? And thinking about what I was talking. So I'm zipping down, we're in the left-hand lane of veterans, 70, 75 miles an hour, whatever, you know how you're going now. And I look down over at my GPS and I go, wow, it says, turn now. So what do you think I did? I turned! Now, a Honda Accord is a fantastic car. It's a wonderful car, very reliable, you can really count on it and stuff like that. A Honda Accord is not a European performance sedan. If you ask it to make a hard right turn at 70 miles an hour, it's going to try really, really hard to do that. But it's not quite going to make the turn. You know those shiny metal things on the side of the road, those metal, yeah. Turns out there's 4x4s behind those. Who knew, right? That's absolutely amazing. And as my hood went straight into the 4x4 and the metal went off to the side and my engine got driven back, I thought to myself, wow, these car crashes are really loud. That was absolutely fascinating. Now I walked away, no problems whatsoever, but that's the $17,000 car that got towed away and thrown away at that particular point in time. So I discovered that I was no good at multitasking. I could not do 3 things at one time. So you probably can't do it either. When you do too much at one time, things start to slip through the cracks. You gotta be a little bit careful about that. Your career can take a hit for that. There was a T-Mobile commercial a little while ago. Perhaps you've seen it. It had Ozzy Osbourne in it. So Ozzy walks into, I think, a T-Mobile store. He's talking with the young man behind the desk. And the guy, so, where's Ozzy from? What country?
England.
So he speaks with
British accent.
and he's Ozzy Osbourne, right? So they have to understand him to begin with, right? So he's a humbling British guy, and the kid behind the counter is just like, sir, I just don't understand. I have no clue what you're saying. Okay, and so Ozzy whips out his T-Mobile phone, and he texts the kid. The kid goes, oh, I know what you want. And he pulls it off the shelf or whatever it was. So communication. So when we think about our careers, we think about what kind of skills it's going to take for us to be successful in our career. What do we think about? PHP, HTML, C#, C++, SQL, go down the list, right? Technology stuff. What do I need to be agile, Scrum? Let's add to the list as to what kind of skill sets we need to have. I've got news for you. What's the most vital application in your life? Piece of software that's going to control your career more than any other single piece of software.
Your brain.
That's good, but that's not software, unless you're a little different from the rest of us.
Spell check.
Spell check, actually. Spell check is that, yeah. Obey the squiggly lines, right? But you're close. Actually, the most valuable piece of software in your entire career is Microsoft Word. Okay? Your ability to write down the ideas that are in your head, get them onto paper, and then share those ideas with other people is more valuable than any code that you'll ever produce. Any sort of application, anything that you produce is going to be used for, a few years and then thrown away. But the words that you put on paper and you share with other people, potentially can live for a long time. I went to work for a startup, and the vice president of engineering had died just a little while ago, but his emails continued to circulate for like the next 2 years, which was the spookiest thing in the world. It was a discussion of engineering decisions, right? So they kept getting forwarded and moved around and stuff like that. He was long gone, but his emails were outliving him. So the ability to write clearly, the ability to speak to groups of people, these are critical skills, and they're the skills that we don't really develop, right? How many classes in public speaking have you had?
None.
None? Okay. So let's think about this a little bit. Let's think about your career for 2 seconds. So you start out as a worker bee, right? You sit at your desk, you produce code, you do something like that. Congratulations, you get promoted. You're now a what? Manager, right? And you're in charge of 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people, right? Great. Well, how do you talk to 10 people? You can go desk to desk, right? If you have to, you can go desk to desk. Or you can huddle in your office, right? Okay, you can limp along, right? Congratulations, you get promoted. Now what are you? You're a director of something? Senior manager, whatever it's okay. Director's in charge of more people, right? Let's say 30 people or 50 people or something like that. Oh, you're screwed now, right? You're not going office to office at this point. You're sending, how are you going to communicate with them? You're going to send them an email, right? Exactly, right. What kind of email writer are you? Are you a long email writer or a short email writer? Long, right? That's cool, that's fine. Short? Short can be too short, right? And long can be too long. Oh my God, it's another email from him. I gotta take off the afternoon and hunker down to read this. So anyway, I had a boss, God bless him, who couldn't spell and his grammar was atrocious, and he was from another country. Okay, sort of like the perfect, three characteristics of communication right there. And he loved instant messaging. So I get these instant messages from him, and I look at it and I go, I've got no clue what he's trying to tell me. So you know exactly what I do. I call all my peers and say, come on guys, over to my queue. Let's take a look at this. And we'd all take a look at it and go, wow. And then we'd all vote. Well, I think he means this. I think he means this. And basically we go with whoever gets the most votes, we look at it, what it means. So I would then delicately send him back an instant message. If I understand what you're asking for, you'd like me to do this. And one of two things would happen. Either, yes, do it, or no, that's not what I meant. God. So look, communication is the cornerstone of your career. Okay, your ability to communicate clearly is very, very important. And email is what we live and die for, okay? But also any sort of written documents or anything like that. And the ability to speak in public. So you're probably great and wonderful with your technical skills. Wow, well, congratulations, you worked hard to develop those skills. The skills that you have right now, how long are those going to last? The knowledge that you have right now, the technical knowledge, if I took away all books and all learning from you, how long would you remain valuable?
2 years.
2 years, maybe? Yeah. Damn, that's like running on a treadmill, isn't it? Here's a cool thing, though. If you're not good at speaking in public, guess how long that would last? That would last your entire career. How long was that career thing? How many years? 45 years. So mastering the ability to speak in public will last you your entire career. Sure seems like you would want to spend a little bit of time on that. How do you become good at speaking in public? Magic pill?
Do it.
Do it. Actually, that's good. Yeah. Do you have
I know she's a great speaker.
No.
rock and roll? That's fantastic. He's undercover on this. So how can the rest of us become great speakers?
Practice.
Practice? How do we get a chance to practice?
There's things like you like Toastmasters and things like that.
That's it. You just said the magic there. Okay, so here's the scoop, guys. Just a little ad for Toastmasters. You know about Toastmasters? A group of people who get together and practice public speaking. That's all there is to it. I think it costs like $45 for 6 months or something like that. It's a club atmosphere, so it's really, nobody's laughing or pointing or anything like that. If you had a skill that was going to last you your whole freaking career, so it seems like it'd be worthwhile to spend an hour a week or something like that. And there's Toastmasters clubs. Maybe where you work, oh my God, why aren't you already part of it? Or at least in the area where you're at, right? Well worth your time to invest. At least look into, right? That's a skill that'll last you your entire career. And oh, by the way, there's a lot of really skilled and talented technical people out there. That's not unique, right? Skilled and talented technical people who can speak in public, ooh, there's not a lot of those, right? That could be well worth it. MBA, okay, whatever. There's a lot of people with MBAs. MBA who can speak in public, ooh, right? That's an easy one to develop. So something to kick around there, guys. That's actually very valuable. Don't fall in love with your company. Okay, I've worked for 3 different startups. I've drunk the Kool-Aid. That startup Kool-Aid is some delicious stuff. You're there, you're all pulling together. You don't know if the lights are going to be on when you come in tomorrow. The paycheck's always at risk. You've got a great product. You know you've got the best product in the entire world. You just have to convince everybody else that it's a great product. You're all going to pull together, right? Rock and roll. Until the money runs out, until they decide they don't need you, till whatever. It doesn't even much matter. Stuff can happen. So if you're working for a company, be it small or large, it doesn't matter. Maybe you've got the perfect job. This is the job you've always wanted, and finally you've got it. Congratulations. But you got to understand, you're not going to retire from that company. Whatever company you're working for right now, you won't retire from them. Remember, we talked earlier that you're probably going to end up working for about 12 companies during your career. How many companies have you worked for so far? If you're not on number 12, you've got X more to go, right? What this means is that even if you've got the best job in the world, where everyone loves you, you love it, you're making money hand over fist, you still got to keep working on your skill set, right? Congratulations, you're the best COBOL programmer in the world. Rock and roll, that's great. COBOL's not going to be hot forever, okay? Although if you're a best COBOL programmer, you might have a niche that you could really play there for a little. But at any rate, okay? Not too many of them left. There's a reason for that, all right? So the concept is, even if you have the best job in the world, you still got to keep your skills sharp. You still got to keep networking. You still have to be meeting people. Do not fall in love with your company. And the reason you want to fall in love with your company is, quick question. Can your company love you back?
No.
That's a one-way relationship, right? You ever have a friend who was dating somebody and they broke up, but your friend wasn't really willing to admit that the relationship was over? And so you'd say, so how's it going? They say, well, I think we're getting back together. And you have to say, well, I saw her with somebody else. I don't think you're getting back. Okay, you get the gist of it, right? So don't get involved in a one-way relationship. Okay, so here's the scoop. For your career to take off like a rocket, what you need to do is you need to identify the people at the organization who are going to promote you. You have to pick out who those people are. You have to be very nice to them. You have to open the door for them. You have to get them lunch. You have to do all that sort of stuff like that. But if you treat the people who are important correctly, they're going to know that you're valuable and they are going to promote you. That sound like a fair deal? Excellent. What's the problem with that statement?
They may think you are threatening their position.
Yeah, probably, but let's say they're so confident that they just see you as a dynamic up-and-comer.
And other people create resentment and that backfire.
That's a possibility. Here's an interesting question. How are you going to tell who's important?
Position.
Position, that's true. Do you think they're going to stay in that position? You ever seen anybody big and important get fired? Oh yeah. Damn it! He was so close to promoting me, and now he just got himself fired. Right? That ever happened? Or, you get the gist of it, right? The problem is you can't tell who's important. I worked at a company where the CEO came out of the labs. Now, by the time he hit CEO, do you think he had like a good list and a bad list? When it was time for him to become CEO, do you think he took care of that bad list? Damn straight he did. He knew exactly who was on his side and who wasn't. All right. So the gist on this one is you have to actually be nice to everybody. And actually, some of the most important people in your life actually might be some of the lowest people in the organization, right? I've always thought that security guards and janitorial staff are critically important, right? If you're good, nice to a guard, that guard will bend the rules for you. And if you're bending the rules, it's probably a time that you need to have them bent, right? If you're nice to the janitorial staff, they won't actually throw your iPhone away or sell it on eBay. They may actually give it back to you when they find it in the bathroom or wherever you happen to have lost it, right? And it's all because you were actually nice to them, and everybody else didn't even notice that they existed. Right? So the concept is you cannot tell who in your organization is actually going to be important, so you actually have to be nice to everybody. And yes, it is a pain in the butt, okay? And they may not deserve you being nice to them, but you still have to do it. Okay, so you're a skilled and talented professional. Congratulations. How is anybody going to know how skilled and talented you are? Unfortunately, there was a plan afoot a few years ago that would have solved this problem. It was called Bring Mom to Work Day. Are you familiar with this? Because your mom thinks a lot of you, right? She said you do good work, right? If you could bring mom to work, she could tell everybody what good work you're doing. Didn't take off. Sorry about that. So how's everyone else going to know that you're such a good worker? If there's that, was it Field of Dreams? Was that the movie? Build it and they will come? Yeah. Wasn't that the gist of that stupid movie? Okay, whatever. All right, this is a baseball movie. A lot of us, in our little technical cocoons, believe if I do good work, my good work will get noticed. I will be appreciated and my career will take off because of that, right? Seems like a fairly valid assumption. Okay, the problem is the world moves fairly fast. And the people that we need to notice our good work are too damn busy, right? Hey, I need that. Here you go. Poof, thanks. Poof, and they're off. Hey, by the way, that was really good work. I worked really hard at that. Spent a weekend or something like that. I went over twice. Good coding, super optimized, something like that. Really fast, runs 10% faster than last. Yeah, whatever. All right. Very good. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. I've enjoyed being in this job, same position, for 15 years. All right, so that's not really going to cut it. So, if you want your career to take off, what you need to get good at is basically blowing your own horn. Nobody's ever going to know that you're skilled, talented, and very good at what you're doing unless you tell them how skilled and talented you are. Problem with this, if you keep showing up and telling me how skilled and talented you are, what am I going to think about you? Shut the hell up! I so do not need to hear about it. All right. So you have a challenge here, right? You have to communicate to other people the value of your work because they're too busy to notice it, right? You have to tell them how great your work is. But you've got a problem because they really don't want to hear you tell them, right? Damn, how are you going to solve that problem? little notes that you put underneath the windshield wiper in the car? With like letters cut out of the newspaper? No. So look, there's a lot of different ways to go about doing this. Let me give you a helpful tip. Okay, so here's one way to do it. Okay, so what you do is you keep your eyes open. And what you'll see is that your colleagues will bump into problems. They will have challenges associated with the projects or whatever they happen to be working on, right? Chink, put your hand up and say, hey, listen, I noticed that on that project that you're working on, you've run into some problems. Or you might run into some problems. A year ago, I was facing that exact same problem. If you'd like, I can share with you how I solved it. Does that sound like a helpful thing to do? So you're a kind, caring, sharing person, right? Oh, by the way, I solved that problem that you're facing. Me, I did that. And I'll tell you how I did it. Okay, you got the gist of it? So you're being helpful. This is good stuff. But you're also clearly communicating that you have knowledge that is valuable to them, right? So it's like a little bit of an end run, right? You are being helpful. You're being willing to assist other people and stuff like that. But you're sort of on a separate channel saying, by the way, I'm bright, I'm smart, I know how to solve those problems. Been there, done that, right? So just something to sort of put in the back pocket. You know, it's a way to toot your own horn without being really obnoxious about it.